Awesome. Hey guys. So guys, thank you guys again for joining us for the I can't even talk right now for the Speak Easy interviews. I'm so excited. This week has been really exciting because I feel as though all week I've been dealing with those who are teachers. The last 3 interviews literally have all been teachers, and they've given some great insight into being the speaker and being the author, and being in that field, working with the next generation, just how much of an impact that they are on them. And I appreciate that. That's been something that I've been able to say each and every episode, is that I appreciate everything that our educators do, because a lot of them take on things that we ourselves, if we were in the same situations or in the same atmosphere, by all means, most of us would probably be in jail, some other places, deported. I mean, all types of things would go on. Let's just be honest, because when it comes to children, when it's your own, it's a struggle, but when it's somebody else's, it's really a struggle. And I love our guest for today because we have Ladonna. Hello, Ladonna.
Hi.
I'm excited because Ladonna has like a numerous amount of awards. And so I said, we get to go to a whole different level on Speak Easy, because a lot of times that's something that as authors and speakers we aspire to. Like, we aspire to be the international speaker, not just the hometown, homegrown speaker. We aspire to going to the next level and achieving something great and being able to say, look, because everybody wants to be able to say, look, I got this for my work. But they don't realize the behind the scenes. And so we were talking about it a little bit before we started, but I said that's going to be one of the conversation topics that we'll go through today, is that they don't know about the behind the scenes. They don't realize that, yes, when you are in this field and it comes to time for you to be nominated for this event and that event, or this award and that award, there is an investment that needs to be made. Yeah.
Yes.
And they kind of see it and they're like, well, I'm not paying for that. Well, it's kind of part of the deal. Like, you got to understand that. So why don't you go into a little bit of that for you, Ladonna, and how that has really, it changes our perspective as being on this side of it. But for those on the other side, let's give them a behind the veil moment.
Okay. Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on, everyone, and thank you all for tuning in and for listening. But hopping right into, being an award-winning author, yes, many people, I know that was something that in 2014, that was something that I desired with all of my heart. And it started off with me. My pastor had said, write down 4 things that you necessarily want God to help you to achieve. And so I'm very, very ambitious, and I tell everybody that I wrote down 8 things. And in those 8 things, being an award-winning author was one of them. Being an international speaker, as she said before, that was in there too. And so for the first 4 months of that year in 2014, I prayed, I decreed and I declared. And those were things that, I said because I wanted that. And so, but then when I started to research, because there was some work that I also had to do as well. I couldn't just want it and wish upon it. I had to work. And so I set out upon myself to research. Every person that wants to do anything needs to do their adequate amount of research. So I researched and found competitions that I was interested in, and that also spoke to the quality of books that I was writing. And so upon my deciding to, researching, I found out that there were fees, there were, different stipulations and things that you had to do before you could just put your book in, get an award. So after doing the research, I found out that there was things that you have to do. So you do have to, some of them, not all of them, but most of them, you will have to pay a fee to put your book in there. And then you submit your information to them. So they have to look through your information, go over your information, see what is it that you have to put in there. And then there is sometimes you have to meet the criteria. And if you do not meet the criteria at the first beginning, even after you have paid your money, you may get knocked out of the competition, and the competition goes on without you. And so a lot of people, and I do, when I introduce myself as an international multi-award winning author, I was telling her before, it's just because I'm so confident in the things that God has had me to do as being a writer, because my victory is I wrote the book, an amazing book. I believe in myself because sometimes before I didn't even think that, hey, I'm from this small town and who's gonna really read this. But when I got my first award in 2014, I was a Paris Book Festival honorable mention. I got to go to California to speak with the rest of the people, and then it hit me, because there were all of the work that I had done to write the book, all of the work that I had done to pour into it, and then I paid my fee to have my book as a consideration, and I made it there as an honorable mention, and to be amongst the award winners and the honorable mentions and the runner up, and we got a chance to speak. It was an honor. But had I not researched, had I not put up that investment, whatever it may cost for you to set aside to put your book in these competitions, then I would not know the victory of saying that I am an award-winning author.
And I can definitely agree with that. And when we think about all that behind the scenes stuff, it's right. The behind the scenes stuff that people are really like, wait, no. And I told, when myself and Ladonna were talking, and I said, it's kind of like people get so excited when they see people at Essence Fest, and they see people at the BET Awards and things like that we're doing like opening acts or doing this or doing that, or, doing the outside acts. And you get so excited, but you don't realize that even things of that nature, there is a fee.
Yes.
For you to be on that platform.
Yes, there is an investment. And, as authors and as writers and as speakers, we have to make sure we know what our budget is for the year, because even festivals, going to the book festivals now and going to other places, you have to pay for your table. You have to pay to show up. And then as an author, you want to make sure that you recoup, at least what part of the investment or all of the investment that you put in there to be there. And so you have to go there and you have to show up. So the behind the scenes is that, I just want to speak to every author out there and say that, you believe in yourself and you put forth the effort. You make sure that you have you research to find these awards that you want to accomplish. And then you make sure that you put in the investment and pay for, what you want, because you don't just want somebody giving you something that you haven't earned. And so to go to these places and to be in these different arenas, there is going to be a cost.
And you just made another very great statement. Guys, I tell you guys all the time that as an author, you are an entrepreneur. So right. What does that mean? You need to have a marketing plan.
Yes.
And a budget.
Yes,
because guess what? Yes. Not only do you have, this is the one that caught me, was that, we talk about wanting to travel, and I was like, okay, I want to travel and go to this place and that place, and I want to have my books and be able to sell my books. Can we talk about the fact that you got to pay for wherever you're taking your books? Because that's a whole other bag.
Yes.
Your whole setup.
You have to these things out. And like, I'm going to tell you, for like last year, for this year, in 2016, I had already started my plan on what do I want to do in 2017. So just myself, I had just moved back to my hometown in Mississippi. Yay! I love Mississippi. But I had to still say, look at my budget, look at the price, look at the places that I wanted to be at that would be most, popular for me, profitable for me at that time. And so I had to set a budget. And so I picked places. But like you said, if you're flying, however you're getting there, so that's your registration for the event. That's you making sure that you pay for, you bring the amount of books that you want to bring to the event based on the crowd that's going to be there, because you don't want to have 25 books and it's like going to be 1,000 or more people there. So that means you have to pay for your books ahead of time, and then you have to travel to get there, and then you stay in a hotel, or if you know somebody, yeah, you may can stay with people, but most often you don't know anyone if you're traveling out. And then the hotel fees. And so, being an author and doing these things and going to these places, it is a sacrifice. You do want to have yourself immersed in different cultures and meet people and network. But at the same time, you still need to make sure that your budget is right, and that you're able to pick places that you will go, and that it'll be profitable for you as an author, and also networking and meeting other people.
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, you just keep hitting these points.
I'm thankful that I just flow with it, because look, if I had to write down some bullets, I'd be like, what do I need to talk about?
Right?
Like, what do I give people? But I'm so thankful.
Because you just said another part that, guys, being profitable as an author,
right?
That part. Because guess what? A lot of times I've talked about this in the past. Those of you who have been following the broadcast for any length of time, you know that I've talked about going to events and not selling any books, or going to events and not having enough books.
Right.
And, you really have to think about it as literally, I should have a plan for every location that I'm in.
Right. Yes.
I should have one.
Yes, and that is very, very important. I want to share with you. I went to the National Black Book Festival just recently, maybe 2 months ago in October. And, on the flyer, there were so many, people that were stated to be there. But when we got there, it wasn't, a lot of people there. But what I did was I turned it into a great, great networking and just speaking, to a lot of aspiring authors, and to also the ones that this was their first ever festival, and just the how-tos and what do you do, because I had been some places in my years of going places. I had been some places and I had not sold a book, not one book. And, in the beginning, it really, really hurt, because I was like, wow, you've made the investment. You took the trip. I mean, I have kids, so I had to get a babysitter. And things like that. So you have all these other things that you have to get done to just be there, to represent, to have yourself there, to be in the place. And so just looking into those things was something that I have to, really realize. So at the festival, like when you go these places and you don't sell, you have to make sure that you set up some plans to be able to get, some of your investment back, or do other things locally or afar that will be like beneficial to you as an author.
Yes, that is above and beyond. And I found that out the hard way. But again, you guys know this is Speak Easy, and we talk about the behind the scenes of what it is to be that speaker or that author. And something else that I wanted to talk about is that, I love the fact that I've become an author. I love the fact that I'm an entrepreneur, because there's a certain level of a different level of conversation that I can have with my children, and encouraging them to, go towards their dreams and move forward. And so with you being a teacher, how does that fit into you being able to speak into their lives? Because I know it's different when it's our children. But as a teacher, I know, as someone who has worked with children for years, I worked with children. They become your children.
Yes.
They become yours.
They do. Well, actually, I'm an academic advisor at a college, but still, I always aspire to have teachable moments, because my background is like therapy and counseling, and so in coaching, and so I always love speaking life into people. And so what I tell them that, and I show them, because when I was in school, when I was getting my last master's, we had a project. It was like in our career development class, and we had a project for you to tell about your avocation. And avocation is like your hobby, but writing for me was never a hobby. I've been doing it all of my life. And so, but I had to turn up the dream to make sure that I don't leave this earth full. I do everything possible that I need to with my books, with writing, with being still, to hear, to doing everything. So with my students, with my students, when I talk to them, sometimes I relate. I show them, because they know me as, I work with them, but I show them who Ladonna Marie is. And so when I open their eyes to who Ladonna Marie is, they was like, wow, I didn't know you had wrote all those books, and I didn't know that you had won those awards, and I didn't know that, you went here and you went there. And I told them, I said, because um I followed my dream a long time ago. I made it up in my mind when God gave me the gift at 12 years old, that I would do it, and that I would be sold out with it. That, I would learn what it takes. I would get better and better. I got seasoned and seasoned every year. I don't think that I still know it all. I feel like there's so much more for me to learn. And so what I do with them, and I pour into their life, and I empower them, and I show them what it takes. It takes the hard work. It takes staying up, to make sure that you get your job done, or you writing a goal list, or you putting things on a calendar or a planner or in your phone about what goal do you want to accomplish even today. And if you don't accomplish those goals, then you move them over to the next day and say, okay, well, now I have 5 goals because I have 2 that I didn't accomplish yesterday. And so just teaching them how to persevere, how to follow their dreams, and speaking life into whatever they're passionate about. Because for 2 years in a row, I did do just being an author as an entrepreneur, and straight entrepreneur, and also I was like a contracted therapist. So I had all day to be an author. I could wake up and I could do my videos, and I could wake up and I could say, well, today I'm going to go out here and I'm going to sell books, and I'm going to set up a table. And I had a year to pick the events that I wanted to do. And so I tell them that you can do anything that you put your mind to, but there is some back work. Like, you have to learn what you need to do. You can't just go out there laxy-daisy and say, oh, I'm going to get it done, if you don't know what you plan to get done. And so there's been a lot of sleepless nights or staying up late, and there's been a lot of planning, and there's been a lot of writing and rewriting and editing and proofreading and, just thinking about everything that I want to do with my goals. But I keep speaking life, because you can do it as long as you work at it. Like, you can't get around the hard work part. You can't get over the, I got to put myself into it. There's no other way, because if you don't do it, then it won't get done. And so even for my children, because I'm just going to speak on my kids get to see, I take them with me sometimes when when I can go to like the, maybe if I do book signings at like church events, or like if it's not really, really big and grand, I usually take my kids with me, and they love it. They pass out my business cards, or they say my mom is an author, and oh, my mom wrote this book. And I love it, because they get to see the hard work. Yes, of course, they do see me at home when I'm sitting down and I'm in my zone and I'm writing, or I'm erasing and I'm rewriting, or I'm recording. They see me and they pick up those things. But I want them to know that their mom or that their advisor is doing the work, because I want to wake up. I wake up to win. And I said that earlier. And that's my mindset. I wake up to win. And I want them to know that you can do it too. You just have to change your mindset, know where you're going, and then take the steps to get there. And so I plant those seeds into other people, because you can do it. You can do it. You can do anything that you put your mind to it, and you put the work ethic and you work at it. So that's what I do. I didn't want to be a teacher, but I will always share teachable moments.
That's it right there. You got to be able to say that, because sometimes that's all it is sharing teachable moments. I know that for me, when it was the writing piece, that's introverted. That's me. I can sit down and write and be A-okay with life in my little bubble.
Me too.
When you decide to step out and share your gift, like, I can write and be okay. Mm-hmm. Decided to go over, outside of the comfort zone and share the gift. I think that's when it goes, oh, this is real now. Oh, okay. Because you get so many different people, you connect with so many different people, and it's always going to be some type of teachable moment.
Yes.
It's always one. I love it. It's interesting sometimes, because you connect with people all over, and you get to say, I know people in the UK, I know people here, I know people there, and they don't just know me because of seeing me online, but they actually have met me in person, or I actually, got to shake their hand or hug them. And I'm a hugger. It took a long time to get to that. So I am a serial hugger, and people that at any event with me know I am that serial hugger. Yes, you're going to hug me. I'm going to hug you at some point. But it takes on a life of its own.
Right.
It does, because in the beginning it was, I just want to get that first book done.
Right.
And it goes from getting that first book done to getting the first book done and being able to speak on different platforms and being able to get interviews and being able to expand and get awards. It goes to a whole nother level. And so when you started, what was the initial idea of what you wanted to accomplish when you first got started?
The initial idea was that I wanted to help people. When God gave me this gift, like a long time ago, I had a lot of things. I felt like I was a misunderstood teen, as many people feel. And I was hurting, and I had a lot of wounds that needed to be closed, and I needed to grow. And so I had an encounter, and I tell anybody, this is my story. I had an encounter with him, and he said that as I heal you, your words are going to help to heal others. And then he gave me the gift of poetry, because I spent most of my days just in my room as a teenager writing. And my writing didn't turn into poetry until about I turned the age of 14. And so the initial gift of this is I want to be for other people who I needed when I was younger. My words help to empower them. It helps to let them know that somebody's been there. It helps to let them know to discover the champion in you, and that's my saying. While promoting positive growth and awareness, because not all growth is nice and is fun. Growth is sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, enough is enough, and I need to do what I need to do to grow. I need to go ahead and forgive or heal. And so my poetry is always to meet people where they are. I write about several different themes: spirituality, encouragement, loss, like growing pains. And so that's what it initially started with. Is just God wanted to heal me. And so through my writings, when people read them, they get what they need. They get that aha moment, or they begin to find those resiliency and see how in the writing, the character or the person or the poem started out one way, but it turned out to be in an amazing way. And so with all of my writing, it seeks to help them to be empowered and to be encouraged and to think another thought, and to not feel like you're going to be just stuck, left where you are, but there's more. There's so much more to live for. And so it just turned into a whole life of its own. I'm everybody's cheerleader, because I know what it feels like to have no one on your side. And I know what it feels like to feel alone. And so my writing is the segue, because I'm an introvert too. We were talking about that before we started. I am too. And so I wanted to only be God's writer and have my pen be ready. But about like on my third book, that was when he told me that I had to go out and speak. That because I always have a smile on my face, and because I'm always encouraging people, and I'm always reaching out, and I'm hugging, and I'm loving, and I'm saying I'm giving them a shoulder to lean on. Let them know why you do that. And so I had to share some of who I was so that they could feel it, they could get it. Because if you see me, you like, she don't never have nothing going on. But it's until you get that story, it's until you get to know who Ladonna Marie is, and the author that has been growing since the age of 12. I've been writing, and like I tell people, I've been writing for 21 years. I didn't publish my first book. I started writing in like 96, 98, and I didn't publish my first book until just myself in 2010. So that was over like 12 years that I had to keep writing. I had to keep holding my head up. I had to keep believing what God said that was my gift before it ever touched the world. And I believed because he believed in me. So I believed in myself, and I kept going. So I tell a lot of people, don't give up, because had I gave up then, I would never see the fruition of who Ladonna Marie is today. And that's what makes me happy. And that's what keeps me waking up and wanting to win, because at one time when I was younger, I almost gave up, and I wanted to give up. And God said, no, I have big plans for you. And so my plans are to help to empower people. And that's the gift that keeps on giving, with my books, with my speaking, coming out of my introverted self, and speaking, because knowing that it's bigger than me. It's for that other person who may never meet me, but they'll read one of my books. Or if you do meet me, you'll have a lasting impression that I'm compassionate and I want to help you achieve. I want you to win too. I want you to feel like and know that you can win and that it's possible.
That's it. I understand that one 110%, because man, oh man, when we think about everything that's going on in the world today, there's a lot. It's a lot to handle. And a lot of times our youth are going through a whole lot. Our young adults are going through a whole lot more than what have those who were in the past have gone through. So they need it on a regular basis. They need it.
Yes.
And so I always ask every author or speaker that comes on, in the process that you've been going through, I ask, what has been a blunder that you did along the way with publishing your book or with speaking? What has been one of the blunders that you have kind of done along the way?
Okay, so with my first book, and because I went to a company, and it was still self-published, but I gave it all to them and wanted, had them to look at it. But when they gave it back, I paid for a service as far as like proofreading and editing, and I didn't go behind them and check. I just took it for granted that they did it. And so the book was published, the book came out, but the book was full of errors. Like, it was not your normal one error you find in the whole book, but it was like filled with errors. And so for me, I was crushed because, first off, I went to a company and I paid them a lot of money. And I didn't think that I had to go back behind them and check. And so I took about 2 years off. This was 2010, my first book. So when 2013 came, and I'm not saying, I still have to go back and check, all the time and make sure. But now I made sure that I had a system of having the first person to edit it, then making sure maybe if I needed a line editor or, different types of editor, that I found the type of editor that I needed. And then I needed someone to proofread, because I know that I can't proofread my stuff, because when I go back and read it as an author, as a writer, I already can see the word, and the word may not even be there. But in my mind, it was that way when I wrote it. And so just having that person, at least letting it be edited twice and looked over, that saves me now from making sure that I can rest, that I'm putting out quality material. And so that was with my first book in 2010. And so since then, I've set up some different things that I won't run into that again, and I won't just take the word of someone. Even though I had paid, I paid for the service, I need to make sure that the service is done before I release the product and before it goes out into the media and the atmosphere, that it's 100% or at least 98% good.
I can definitely understand that one, because that whole, I tell people all the time, don't edit as you write.
Right.
Just do a brain dump. Don't edit as you write, and don't try to go back and edit your own stuff. Because you don't. You see what's in your mind already. That's it. That's all you see. So to you, it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's perfect.
Oh, you be just reading stuff that ain't even there.
Exactly.
So you need that person to go behind you and just, check the grammatical errors and everything, and making sure that it reads the way that you want it to read. So that's essential.
I can tell you, listen, I know that's right. Because you don't know how you listen. I love reading. So I'll go to so many different books and reading books, and you'll go, okay, I don't think that was the right. I don't think that was right. But you can see it when you're reading everybody else's book. You can't.
Yeah. You can't see.
That's something to think about. Mm-hmm. So I thank you so much, Ladonna, and I want you to let them know where they can find you on social media, how they can reach you, and also how they can find your books.
Okay, so you can reach me on social media under Ladonna Marie. And when you go there, you'll see LMB Poetry because that's Ladonna Marie Books Poetry. But if you look for Ladonna Marie, you'll see me. You'll see my beautiful little face. Also, I have a fan page, and it's www.facebook.com/Ladonna MC. That's my Facebook fan page. My website is www.ladonnamarie.org. You can find me on there and on Twitter and also Instagram. It's Ladonna LMB_poetry. So that's Ladonna Marie Books _poetry. Just look me up, Google my name. On Amazon, I'm also Ladonna Marie. You'll see me there.
Definitely. And so, guys, those of you, again, this has been another episode of Speak Easy Interviews. I appreciate you, Ladonna, for coming and joining me today.
Oh, thank you.
And we look forward to being able to follow you along your journey as you move forward. And guys, also, if you are interested in being on the Speak Easy podcast, bit.ly/Speak Easy podcast, all lowercase, in order for you to set up a time. Hey, look. We're already scheduling into 2018. So, guys, you definitely want to jump on it. I think January is just about full. And we will be rolling into February really soon. So I look forward to seeing you guys next time. If you're catching this via YouTube, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. And all of Ladonna's information will be in the description box. And if you're catching this on LinkedIn or Pinterest, you can catch us over on Facebook or on YouTube as well. I appreciate you guys. And don't forget to press it out. See ya.